Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. We've been doing these webinars now since February, and we have been putting them out on YouTube. So if there's any training or things that you've missed, you can go to our website and you can look up the old training videos. We've recorded them on lots of different topics, from DocuSign to Teams to Office 365, LastPass, quite a few different ones. So you're welcome to go back and look at our other videos. Today we're going to be talking about the new features in Teams. Teams has had so many new updates, primarily because of this whole COVID pandemic. Microsoft has put a lot of engineering and effort behind Teams to since the adoption rate has been just astronomical in terms of the number of companies adopting Teams. They've given Teams away for free. They've basically lowered the barrier of entry so more people can be using it for working from home. And it really is a great product. So now it's finally getting the attention it's been due, and we're going to see some of those new features they've been putting into it. So a little background on myself. My name's David Wolf. Founded Just Solutions 23 years ago with my wife out of our home in Fairport, and now we're still in Fairport, but we have last count about 27, 28 employees, and we're going to be expanding to Buffalo now. So we're a managed service provider, co-managed IT. We do phone systems, copiers. We're one of Xerox's largest partners. So anything you need technology, we're happy to help. And we really do focus on security. As you can see from my certs, we take security pretty seriously, and all of our techs are getting, if they don't already have it, they're getting their Security Plus certification as well. So today's agenda, I'm going to talk about Teams versus Zoom. People always ask me about that, so I figured I'd rehash it and explain Teams versus Zoom. I'm going to explain the update process because people are asking me about how to manage and control the Teams updates. Then I'm going to basically be reviewing the new features that have come along since our last webinar on Teams, which was, I think, beginning of March, maybe. And then reviewing mobile. I didn't do a lot of mobile last time, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about mobile. Now, I'm an Android user, so my sample screens are from an Android, but Apple, the Apple app for iOS is just the same. And then I always like to finish the presentation with doing live demos. So I try to keep the presentation to a short amount of time. The slides are all available to anyone who requests them. We'll be happy to send you the PDF. As well as we'll also give you the link to the recording. So I do share my material with the attendees, so you're welcome to just email us and ask, and Allison will be happy to send that out to you. So during the live demo, it's kind of interactive. I don't really script it out. So I do bounce around a little bit, and I take Q&A at the same time. So if you ask me a question, I might jump and show you that feature or try to show you maybe the back end admin. I do know I have a mixed group of people that are technical and non-technical, so I really try to answer at both levels and try to explain everything from both technical and maybe non-technical, but also maybe at a min level if you're an administrator and you have some questions. But don't be afraid to ask. We do like to take as many questions as we can and help you as much as we can. We do these webinars every month, so always pay attention to our website, and we'll continue to send out our alerts as well. So Teams versus Zoom. Who's the winner on this one? And the winner is, well, I'm not going to say yet, but let's do a little comparison. Some differences. Zoom is a new guy, hasn't been around a long time, but being an upstart, it doesn't have the baggage that Microsoft does. Microsoft Teams is coming from the Lynx product and the merger of the Skype product. So Microsoft has to accommodate all the users and people that were using Lynx and all the people that were using Skype for Business. So a little bit of legacy there. Zoom is kind of the new kid on town. We've heard a lot about Zoom bombing and security issues, which Zoom is working at. I'm not sure why they picked data centers in China to route things through, but I guess they'll didn't like that and they regret that decision. They have great integration with some other products. Slack is one of them, but Slack is basically uh, a, a team collaboration tool that is a direct competitor to Teams. Microsoft Teams definitely has better security because it's integrated with your Active Directory. It does require a little bit more administrative skill from your IT department or your outsourced IT provider, but it does have more security, but that makes it more challenging. So I didn't use the word difficult, I just did. Zoom is a simpler interface, a lot less training from that standpoint, and doesn't really require IT department to use it. But they have done a really great job making a simple interface. And you say, well, we're using it today. Absolutely. So we're using Zoom to show Teams, which is kind of ironic, but that's what we're doing. Teams does have room systems. Microsoft only certifies hardware because they don't really certify other people's software. Rooms from Zoom, they actually will certify third-party apps and hardware that integrate with them, but Microsoft doesn't do the software side, but they will have certified hardware. One of my, give you an example, is Microsoft Hub, which is a really cool video conferencing room system. Other companies, Comptel, Cisco, all have different room systems that you can get for video conferencing and integration into Teams and Zoom. It is free, Microsoft Teams, and so is Zoom. But it's free. It's kind of a little bit limited, and the paid version is pretty much comparable to and Zoom in its free version. But Zoom can get a little bit more pricey in some areas, but neck and neck, they're pretty competitive. They know what they're doing when it comes to pricing. Microsoft does have UC, which is Unified Communications. Basically, they're doing a lot more with the phone integration, phone system, cloud-based PBX. Zoom Phone is actually a new product, and it's gaining support, and they're adding features to it all the time. It's not as mature as Microsoft's UC offering. However, Zoom is doing a pretty good job making it compatible with legacy systems and things. So a lot going on in that arena. I'm not sure either of these companies are going to be the leading provider of UC. There are a lot of other companies in the phone business and the phone integration business, but I think that you'll see more and more integration to both these products with whatever phone platform you might be choosing. I wouldn't be too worried about that. I think it's continuing to evolve. Again, I don't think there's, although Microsoft may be a little bit further ahead in some of its call routing and auto attendance and queues and things it can do, Zoom's going to catch up. Won't take them long, but. So who's the winner? Both. The adoption rate is about 80%. What I'm saying there is that most companies are using both. Neither one owns the market. And companies are finding that they work well together. In fact, they do have some nice integration to each other. So there's no reason to have to pick one or the over the other. And I'm just going to kind of talk about some of the features that they've added to Teams. But Teams definitely is a lot more of a collaboration tool, a lot more of a business tool. Zoom really is more of a meeting and conference tool. In terms of its simplicity. So we'll talk about it, and there's always going to be overlap, but overall, I think that it's nice to have actually both. So I'm not picking a winner. Okay, let me talk about the update process and schedule. This is important because this is different for IT people. As an end user, you may not care, but I do have to make a distinction between the web app and the client app, and that's very important. I want you to understand, because there's the mobile app, there's the client app, which runs on your PC, and then there's the web version. I've run into some situations where people say, well, I wasn't able to join a team meeting because I didn't have the app installed. You don't have to have the client app installed to use Teams. You can just use the web app. So what happens is people are picking the wrong choice when they get that pop-up. So if you send someone an invite to join your team meeting, you want to tell them, you might recommend, say, click the browser version. Say you want to use the web app or stay in the web app. Don't click download the client app and try to install the client app. Why? They may not have rights to their machine to do the local installation. It might be controlled by IT, but everyone can pretty much use the web app. There's really not a limitation there typically. So the client app is really where people stumble, and that's what we've run into with support calls. So just in terms of being aware of that, they're updating the web app weekly. There's new versions of the client app every 2 weeks. It can't be controlled by your admin or IT. They can't block it or stop it. You could prevent the apps from being installed, but after 3 months, you're going to get a forced notice that your app is out of date, and it will force you to update it in order to use it. Teams also is now installed by default with any 365 version. Now notice I'm saying 365 because they're dropping the Office 365 and they're calling it Microsoft 365. I had that slide in some previous presentations to let people know about the name change that's going on, but everything's renaming and coming over to Microsoft 365 as the labeling. So you are kind of forced to do that. If you're using VDI virtual desktops, it is a manual process to update the image, and they highly recommend removing the old MSI file, installing a new, and this updates for Teams is completely independent of Excel, Word, or any of the other Office 365 app schedules, updates, and things of that sort. So Teams is on a very aggressive updating process, and it includes fixes, patches, and of course new features and functionality. Okay, let's start talking about some new features. Since March, Work Offline in Windows Desktop app is available. This is really powerful. People have asked me about this because they're concerned, saying, well, how do I use Teams if I'm not online? If you're on a tablet or you get on the airplane and your internet goes down and your internet goes completely out, you can still read, you can still create messages, you can still work offline, and then when the app comes online, it will catch up. So that's kind of a nice feature they added. Improvements to the Teams calendar. You can right-click right on the item in the calendar and do your RSVP. So Teams is tightly integrated with your Outlook, and that's probably, if I was to go back, actually I probably should, if I just go back to this slide here, the tight integration of 365 is really where Teams excels. And what I mean by that is your calendar in Teams is directly talking to your Outlook calendar. Integration to all the add-on programs, opening inside of Teams, being open up a Word file or an Excel file or even a PowerPoint file from the file folder when you don't even have those programs installed on your tablet or on your laptop. So they're giving you the web version capability there. So the integration there is phenomenal. And then also the integration with the security through your Active Directory. And I'm going to demonstrate that too. So I just want to bring that back, is this tight integration. When I mention it, that's kind of why you're able to do these things here with the tight integration with the calendar and literally right clicking on the Teams calendar and RSVPing. And I can try to show you that in the demo. A new feature, this one came in around April. Remember, we're getting updates every week or every couple weeks on the actual app. So this is interesting, but you can end the meeting for everyone and basically kick them all out. Why is that important? If you're a school teacher, you don't want the kids hanging on after you've left. Turns into a free-for-all, things of that sort. You don't want any sidebar conversations, whatever. You're recording the meeting, some of those things. So you can actually add end. You now have the add end meeting for the person running the meeting. Another new feature is announcing when callers join a meeting. You can have the option to do that, or you can turn that on or off. You also have whether or not you want to announce when callers join or leave a meeting. You can also, in an administrator feature, control whether you allow anonymous or not. As the organizer, you can also let attendees bypass the meeting lobby. If you've ever invited guests or people come to a team meeting and they get stuck in the lobby, they call it, you can bypass that now. That is now an option feature they've added in since April. Channel analytics, I'll try to show this. This is kind of interesting. This gives you information about how active the channel is. This is good because maybe you want to do a little housekeeping and maybe get rid of some of the channels that aren't being used, consolidate things, or see who's really being active or not active. And I'll show you when I talk about that. Some people may not know what I mean by a channel. If you're still new to Teams, I'll show you what a channel is to make sure. You can add system audio to live events now. What that means is you can play, which is nice, is you can actually play through your system. If you're playing a video, it will play it out back through the live event. So your computer audio, if you're playing something internally, can actually be shared out to the other people in the event. This may sound funny because Zoom always had this, but raise a hand in a meeting now is available. So it allows you to do a quick poll. Besides doing what you can with polling and things of that sort, when you open up the attendee list, you can ask people to raise a hand, and now they have a way to do that. I say that's funny because I'm so used to it in Zoom, and it's like, oh, this is this is something I had to think about adding to Teams. Well, they did. And then roll call, which is nice, is you can download an attendee list. So you can see when people got on or left, and you can actually create a little report that you can download right out of Teams for the attendees that were on that were part of that meeting. Meetings are going 3x3. This is 3x3 video. We may say, well, geez, Teams is doing a lot better grids than that. I think not Teams. I mean, I'm sorry. Zoom is doing better by that, and I think they're up to 7x7, which is 49. Microsoft is going to catch up on that. Part of the reason they didn't do that is because this is video feed. This is number of live video, and that can really cause performance issues too. But people are asking for bigger grids, so they're adding them. So they gave us 3x3. They're rolling that out. We're in the middle of that rollout. You may not have it yet. You may have to tell your teams to update, but it is coming to everybody. And remember, it's if they're live video. If you don't have your camera on, if you don't have the live video on, you're not going to see the 3x3 grid. It will build it as you as you add the number of people for live video. Otherwise, you'll just have the picture thumbnails at the bottom. They totally blew up the number of teammates. So now a team size can increase to 10,000. Obviously, Microsoft had to fix that for themselves, plus other large companies. So now they blew up the number that it's such a large number, we don't have to worry about how many people can be a member of a team. The good news is, from an administrator standpoint, and this is really for the admins out there, when you build a team, if you make it an organization-wide team, you can let Active Directory manage adding and removing members to that team. So if you understand that from a standpoint of administrating the team, it becomes a less troublesome. You wouldn't have to sit there and have to add 10,000 teammates to a team. It'd be a lot easier if you made that an org-wide team, and then you can control through Active Directory. So again, the integration back to Azure Active Directory is really useful that they've built into it. Pop-out chat for multitasking. They're going to be coming out with pop-outs for pretty much all the modules, but the first one they came out with was chat, and you're going to see pop-outs coming for everything. That allows you to multitask and not get trapped. I'll show you how the multitasking works today, but the pop-out is going to be a nice feature. So we have pop-out chat. That was the most demanded one. People really didn't want to be able to, they want to be able to have the chat window maybe on a second monitor, that type of thing. Miley. New feature since June. The chat group size has increased to 250. So now in just a group chat, you can have up to 250 people involved in that. You can also have privacy for joining meeting via phone. What that means is it doesn't have to show your cell number or your caller ID number to everyone else in the meeting. That's a nice little privacy feature they've added. They've added to customize your background. People obviously like playing with their background, so they give you a bunch of standard ones, and you can also add your own. They can be animated or not animated. And you can pin chats and channels too while you're offline. The benefit of that is if you pin a chat or pin a channel, when you go offline, you'll save that history. By pinning it, you'll then have the history in it. One of the nice features and why I want to demonstrate the mobile to you today is the fact that you really do have this great synchronization that occurs between your channels, your chats, your files, everything, between your calls. So they've really made Teams useful as you switch from platform to platform. So I think showing you the mobile is kind of important so you can get a feel for how clean an interface it is. So Teams Mobile, let's set that up. Calendar, you get your full calendar. Again, integration to directly to your Outlook. If you have a meeting event, you can join right through there. You get your teams, and you can see we have quite a few different teams, and then I can show you the different channels. You can also get directly to your calls and make calls. This is really fantastic, even without having the voice. People think calls, they think landline voice lines. Nope, this is internet calling right through Teams, no landline required. So I was out and about, I literally was able to make a call over Teams to a couple people here in the office, right through the Teams call. Chat obviously is your texting and sharing. You also then have your feed and alerts. You can control those, and you can set up your alerts. So I just want to show you some quick little samples of that. Wanted to throw out a couple additional resources. This is how I find a lot of my material. There is just a ton of training material. Microsoft provides all of it for free. It's very exhaustive and great. They have it at all levels. So they have videos for introductory levels. They have videos for administrators on how to do administrative things. And then if you want to keep up with Teams as well, they have a Teams blog. But aka.ms is Microsoft's website for all the training and all the Teams, not just Teams, but all the Office products. They have pretty much everything you can think of there. It's a great resource. And they came obviously with the short URL to make it easy to remember and get to. All right, so let's do jump over to live demo. Someone asked a question about the Zoom was routing through data centers in China. Yeah, they got overloaded with, and they didn't have the capacity in the US, so they're actually routing a lot of their team meetings and things through China servers, and that was a real, Krebs on security alerted us to that, and they basically were, because of the costs and capacity, they were using data centers in China. So they were dumped for a while, and they might still be banned by the DoD and military organizations as not being allowed to be used for any kind of government meetings and things of that sort. That whether that's changed recently or not, I do know that they were banned from DoD and ITAR compliant and all those kinds of things. So answer that question. We can talk about or I can help you if you're having problems with outside people joining your team's meetings. We have to just make sure you are allowing guests, and we can check that setting. But there's guests, and then there's also if they're trying to come in from using Skype. So we'd have to do a little more digging on that for the admin section on that. But you'll have a problem having them doing the app. You should not have a problem with them coming in via the web version versus the client app. Your chat history is saved, and you can go back to previous chats. The only time it starts a new chat history is when you add another person to it. So chats are private. Chat history is private for that conversation. Then when you go add someone else into that chat conversation, you bring someone else into that meeting, it starts a new history that person can't go back and see the previous conversation. So if you are talking to Mary and then you and Mary have a day's worth of conversation in your chat window, and then you add Sue, when you bring Sue in, Sue won't see that chat history. She'll only see the new history that all of you are creating from that point forward. That's for chat. The team channels, that history is always available to even new channel members. So when you bring a new employee on and add them to an existing channel, to an existing team, an existing channel, they can go back and look at that history and kind of learn and see what's happened previously or what's been discussed. Also, they'll still be able to take advantage of the search capability to search previous information in channel history, that type of thing. So chats and channels are a little different in terms of what they offer for the history. So let's go over to Teams, and I have my second screen shared, so I should be able to bring up Teams over in there once I get rid of the PowerPoint. Okay, so can I get a thumbs up here that I know that we're seeing? Got it. Okay, so you're seeing my Teams, my Teams screen. If we have quite a few teams here listed, and JSI is our main company one, and I made that org wide. So if I go into JSI org wide, I can actually look at the organization structure. And so let me give you an example. If I go over to one of our people, and let's bring up what did I do? Let's go bring over chat. Okay, I go to contacts. So when you hover over your contacts and you stop, there's this little symbol here that shows a little view organization. You click on that, it shows you where Jill, the controller, is in our org chart. So it shows Tracy, me, Andrea, then Jill. And then it shows her reports. So how did I build that? I've been playing around with this. It's really cool. For your admins, you just build that in your Active Directory. And I can show you how to do that. You basically, in Active Directory in your organization, you say who's the manager for who and what department, and it literally will build this for you, which is really nice if you've got your Active Directory integration turned on between your Office 365 and your Active Directory. It's a really nice byproduct. So I just want to show you that org thing. Also, if you're doing chatting, when you are chatting with someone, you can go to your dots and you can pop out the chat. So now you get this new pop out. This is going to start showing up for all the different tools. So right now you pop out that chat, you have another window, and I can check with Allison how we're doing. As you can see, I ask her for my sound check or my screen check, and she tells me. If I hover over her, I can also check her status, and I can see what she's doing or what she might be in the middle of, and I also can get pertinent information. Again, all this data is pulled from your Active Directory and your setup of that employee, which is nice. So that's that new pop-up. So this window can continue while I go to something else. If I go over to other team, I still have that window and I can still be chatting with her while maybe looking at files or something of that sort if I jump over here. So at some point, you're going to see files have a pop-out too. You'll see calls have a pop-out. You'll see all of these things will eventually have pop-outs as well. While I'm in here, I just wanted to show you, while I'm in under files, notice you can add cloud storage. This is how you can set up your integration to your SharePoint. You can add your link to your OneDrive personal, your OneDrive for business as well. And you can add your connections to cloud storage. What other cloud storages can you add? Depending upon what your company allows, this is configurable. Again, this is an admin note, but your admin can control what other cloud products, whether you're connecting to Box, Dropbox, any of those. So here we allowed Dropbox, so you could connect to your cloud storage at Dropbox and add it right into Teams as well. So I wanted to show you that. And that integration is, again, there's administrative side of it. So if you don't see some things, you may have to check with your IT department or your admin. That's where we kind of refer to Teams being a little bit more complicated, but I don't see it that way. It just because it can tie into so many different things. That's why you might have to work with your IT. The other thing is what they're adding for more apps. So as you get going, you can see, whoa, why is there Zoom here? Because you can add Zoom and you can pin Zoom, and you can now control Zoom from inside of your Teams. So you can start a Zoom meeting. You can join a meeting right now. So I could actually take the meeting ID from our session we're having right now, and I could join. I really freaked my computer out, but I could actually join the Zoom from Teams to the Zoom that we're all looking at. Get your head around that one. Apps is really kind of the cool feature. That's a whole ecosystem they're building, productivity system, all kinds of tools and integration that you can add within Teams. And also you can, now they're giving you tools to build your own. So Microsoft is turning around and allowing companies and giving everyone the ability to build your own apps and integration points. So one of the ones we're playing around with is Bookings. Bookings is another one that Microsoft's giving free. If you're a hairdresser, financial planner, in our case, the support company, you can integrate, and this is our calendar, you can integrate your calendar, and then you can also publish it to the web, not necessarily your calendar, but you can publish your availability. So if you want to send out a meeting invite or schedule an appointment, you can let people come to your website to schedule an appointment with you, maybe to have a one-on-one consultation. If you're a financial planner, attorney, an accountant, you name it, you can use Bookings to book any kind of appointment. So as the organizer, they give examples of hair salons, they give examples for financial planners, you name it, you can use Bookings, free tool, a free add-on that you can use, and then also works with your website as well and gives you all the links to to allow people to book an appointment with you via a link you send them through an email or for your website. These are all over here. So this pinning is a new feature. You can pin. If you're an admin person, I just want you to let you know that you can control what apps you can approve or disapprove apps. If there's app you don't want employees to install, you can control that in the Teams admin. The Teams admin is let me go. I thought I had it up. Here's the admin center. For Microsoft, if I go down to Teams, now I'm opening up the Teams admin center. For some of you end users, I know you don't care about this, but this is the administrative center for your teams, for your organization-wide settings, what apps are allowed, managing apps, permission and policies for apps, setting up your voice. If you want to allow if you'd like to get a phone number to allow people to call into a Teams meeting, maybe for whatever reason they can't get to the internet and they need to call in, you can purchase a very affordable subscription plan to have a phone number associated with your Teams so people can call in and use Teams as well. If anyone's used, what was the one we were using? Oh, now I'm drawing a blank. The one from, oh shoot. Join.me. Join.me was giving you a free phone number to call in. I'm not sure if Zoom's giving you a free one or you got to pay. I think it's part of your subscription plan with Zoom to get a phone number as well. Well, Microsoft does the same thing, so you can add that. But that's the dashboard that administrators care about. Let's get back over here. But that's bookings. Again, you can pin them, unpin them, or even uninstall the app. You can go to the app library and you can add more apps. So if you turn around and add, I don't know if it will happen instantly, but if I add the weather app, now I can say, give me the weather for Fairport, New York, and it will go out and get the weather for me. And I have the weather app. I don't know. Again, these are just some are kind of, I don't know, silly or not silly, but I guess there could be a use for it if you're checking. Oh, I'll give you an example. I have a customer, a commercial account that does parking lot sealing, and this is their busy season. So they're constantly watching the weather and the rain maps because they want to know if their guys can go do the sealing on a commercial property or commercial parking lot. So just think about having this integrated. Example, we've been playing around with OneNote integration. Having OneNote integrated, as you can see, it's already there, so I can just hit open, but you can integrate that app as well. So if you're doing the Teams meeting and you're setting up a meeting, the problem with seeing the multiple video grid is people have to have their cameras on. They have to be using their cameras. If people aren't using their cameras, then you're just going to see their names across their picture or their initials across the bottom. You also can pin. You can now pin channels. This is a channel I mentioned earlier. I was going to explain channels to people. So here's your team, and then a team is made up of channels. They now have added templates to channels. So when you're creating a new they've created templates to when you build a new team. So if you're making a new team, you can apply a template to that team. So administrators can create that as well. As you can see, all teams get a general channel, and then you might add more. As you can see, our service team has a lot of channels, and the projects team, we do teams project. We'll do channels by company or projects. And that's a way you can organize that. What other questions we have? Okay, those are questions. Any other chat? Let's see, I see questions. Anything in chat? Let's see what we got in chat. Are all those apps free? Yeah, most of them are free. There's a ton of free and some aren't. A lot of them have free versions and then paid versions where you can use the free version gives you some limited functionality, and then there's a paid version. It's very much like the App Store in PayPal or on Apple or Google. But yeah, the apps are free. I added a app here called um, Poly for doing surveys. So it's a free, and you can take polls, meeting polls, team polls, that type of thing. Um, so yeah, a lot of the apps are free, and it's kind of neat that you can even build your own. So that's a lot of the new features that are out there today. So the big ones are the grid, the pop outs, the announcements, you name it. Is your picture in Teams, is this viewable outside your organization? Yes, it can be, because you can um, add that and publish that right into Office 365, and then it will be available to be seen outside of your picture, your Teams picture. So yes, you can actually share that outside your organization, but that's really more of a 365 feature, not a Teams feature, if you understand what I'm saying there. Let's see, we got any more questions? CRM apps. Well, Microsoft obviously wants you to look at their CRM app, and I will say that their Dynamics or Microsoft CRM is a very robust one. Now, I use robust because that means a little bit more complicated, but also very capable. The other one is very popular and very affordable is Zoro. There should be, maybe I just search for him. Let's get out of here and let's get back to, let's get out, oh, sorry. Let's get back up to where I can search here for Zoho, rather. Why did I say Zoro? Zoho. Zoho CRM is a very affordable package, and they have a lot of products and a lot of tools that you can use as well. But and then there's Sugar CRM. There's a few of them, but as you notice, both of the Zoho and Dynamics have integration directly into Teams, which is nice. I'm sure more will be coming, but Zoho is another one that is a great way to do contact management. It's pretty affordable. It really does scale, and I think it's done a really good job beating up Act, and also less costly if you don't want to pay the big bucks for Salesforce. So that is a good CRM that you could use as well. So Microsoft has the Dynamics. What's nice about Dynamics is it's just another Office 365 product. So if you think about just enabling that license, you really easy to add to your company and manage and administer it because you do it right through your Office 365 console. This is kind of like I think I went through and I said, I'm going to block this one. I don't want anyone installing this Chinese app or whatever it might be. I don't know. So I blocked that in our administrative system, so it shouldn't allow you to install it. But just some example of the apps. Calls, here's your call directory. It shows your employees. It shows you their titles. The titles are coming from Active Directory. Again, so you want to pay attention to using that. And you also want to teach your people to use the status button. It's very easy to change your status. You just come up to your picture on your screen and you can change where here it says I'm in a meeting, but you can set your status. You can set a status message, and you can also turn that meeting, that status message after a certain amount of time. Kind of a little bit like an away message from Outlook, but not quite the same, but another way to say that, you know, you'll be back at such and such a time, and then you don't have to remember to change your status off because you said you're out for lunch for a certain amount of time. Any other questions? Anything else anyone like to see? I think I've gotten through all the questions and chat messages. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to email me. You can ask for the presentation. If you need some help, you need me to figure out anything administratively, I'll be happy to do that for you. I've been seeing a lot more adoption of this product. It's really kind of cool. You can send messages to other people. I've actually gotten voicemails from clients through Teams, and I've actually had sessions with clients over Teams. It's been working really well. The number one, so to pop out a chat, you just come over to your chat window. When you see either under recent ones or contacts, you can double click or just go to the 3 buttons and say pop out chat. So that little symbol is your pop out, or you can double click it and it pops it out. So you can do it either way. So that's how you can get your pop out, is to the 3 button options button, or double click on it. The announcement update. I'm not sure I recap one more time the announcement update. Oh, the announce for when you come into when announcing people coming in and out of the team meeting. I'm not sure I'm following the question. If you could rephrase that, I'd be happy to try to answer that. Yeah, so that's the announce feature that you can turn that on or off when you're setting up a meeting. If you go to a meeting, if I was to go plan and schedule a new meeting, I'll schedule a meeting. You then will have meeting options, and you can control additional options they've added. Once you build this, then you'll get an additional ability to change some more options for your meeting. And you can control who's allowed to become mute or unmute, who's allowed to become a presenter, not presenter. They're giving you a lot more options now. But you once you save this and then save it, then you get additional capability here, and you can control additional options. Any other questions? Let's see. No, I've been Alice and I have been kind of going through the apps and checking them out, checking reviews on them. Polly was a good one when I wanted to do a survey, because I wanted to do an anonymous survey, and I wanted people to feel comfortable answering the question without having to worry about me knowing who answered what. So that's why I went to Polly, because Polly was a great little tool to allow a pure anonymous survey. If you wanted to ask your employees a question about maybe an HR question, you wanted to do a survey, have you ever been harassed at work, or do you feel the company is, you know, supporting should be doing more support diversity or whatever. You might have a touchy subject and you want to do it anonymously through Teams. That's why I went with Polly, because Polly allowed me to set up a survey that was pure anonymous. I could get anonymous comments and feedback. I thought that was kind of cool. So that's one app I found, which I thought was really nice. But I think it's going to be kind of one of these things that, kind of with the phone apps, there's so many of them that I think there'll be like reviews and ratings and things over time that we'll kind of come to learn which ones are the better ones, that type of thing. But yeah, that was a nice way I decided to use Polly when you want to do something like that. But again, I was just experimenting and looking for things that could be useful, and there was a built-in one. If I went into Teams and well, I don't know if I want to do it in a channel, but right down here you can see I have Polly right here. If you can see the little symbol down there, you can go to your apps right from here. Stocks, if you're a stockbroker, this can be really phenomenal. Having it find things immediately in there and doing alerts. We play around with these GIFs. They've been kind of fun. And there are all these animated GIFs, and you could put in any topic you want, and you'll get all kinds of examples of things that you could use to express your tone. Because what people lose in texting is tonality. And my argument of why I like emojis and GIFs is because I think people misread text messages all the time. And so I think it becomes important to let your coworkers know that you're not angry, and you aren't really typing in all caps because you're yelling or whatever. You just forgot to turn off your caps lock. Yeah, whatever. It's so amazing how people do read into things. And I think that sometimes using these things can help create that same sense of camaraderie that we're missing by not being in the office. So when we're doing this work from home, adding the GIFs and adding the emojis, I think is a nice way to um, keep things light and not always so deathly serious at work type of thing. So here's a nice little bear waving. Okay, thanks. That's a nice one. The So you can actually add apps from here and install more apps too. Just by hitting the plus sign, you can add tabs and you can add more apps as tabs. You can search for them right here, and there's new ones all the time. So I think it'll be fun to see what people come up with and see what people find that they can use. There's Microsoft Lists, which is a new product that Microsoft's rolling out and giving to all of us. That's a whole tool for developing lists and sharing lists and things of that sort. You can add tabs up here, and the tabs can actually be documents directly. So you can add a PDF directly or a file directly to a tab to share, or you can add programs as well. So again, this Teams product is so much more than just conferencing and so much more than just meetings. It really is a phenomenal collaboration tool. I think I'll probably open in another browser. Someone asked if we'll open up the meeting. What is the meeting ID? Do I have that somewhere? I'm not sure I could do that, but anyone can tell me what the meeting ID would be? I could try joining it. See what it does. Might blow things up, but it's worth a try if you want to. How can I see my meeting ID? Anybody have a clue in Zoom where to see? Ah, thank you. Let's try this. 6, 2, 5. To answer your question, it opened up a new window. So it did not do it inside of Teams. It popped out a window into the browser for me. Okay, so it's trying to launch it now. So just so you know, that's what it did. So I answered that question for you. What else? Jason, you're welcome. Well, if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to email. Thank you for joining me today. I was thinking about doing bookings, a seminar on bookings, rooms. Bookings, I think, is a really neat app in itself for scheduling and scheduling online. The other one I was going to be doing more is I'm going to show some more telephony, adding the conference phone numbers of phone system that you can do, the integration that Microsoft's doing with phones. I think that's kind of important. Might be worth showing to people. If you think of any other topics you'd like me to go over, I'd be happy to do it. And if you are considering an app and you want me to evaluate it for you, just let me know. I'll be happy to take a look at it. But thank you everyone for joining us today. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and a great weekend. Thank you. Thank you for coming.